book when Koshi Sar introduces literature to Philippos, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
He says fiction is the greatest lie that tells the truth about the world we live in, the world, how the world lives. It struck a chord in me because my husband mostly reads nonfiction, and my daughter, when she was in high school, like challenged her dad to read a piece of fiction every month because she says it builds empathy and teaches you how the world works.
Exactly. Good for her.
So, and now he's still continuing. How do you view your dual worlds of writing and practicing medicine? Does doing one make you better at the other? Why do you think it's important to read fiction?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I think I always find it remarkable that we are educated by stories when we grow up. Stories from the youngest age, and then the stories get more complex, or they get fixated on Batman, Superman, at every stage. Stories are how we learn about the world. And it always puzzles me that when we become adults, that we're serious people, we're like, oh, I only read biography and nonfiction. And I love to tease my colleagues who are like that by saying, you're a serious kind of person. Uncle Tom's Cabin, if you heard of this book, it changed America. It ended slavery. Not a politician, not an army, but one book captured the public's imagination. Or The Citadel in the UK. That book, a fictional book about medical conditions in a small Welsh mining town, that caused the National Health Service to be born, So I think fiction is terribly important to, just as your daughter said, to increase your empathy, your imagination. Our lived lives are so narrow, and the only way to walk in someone else's shoes is to, buy the vehicle of something like a book. We want to teach end of life in medicine. We could point someone to a palliative care textbook, or if you want them to really feel it, you point them to The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Tolstoy. Story that makes you feel what it's like to suddenly get a death sentence. Or if you want to teach child abuse, you point them to, the novel, the Bastard Out of Carolina by Dorothy Allison, where you will feel what child abuse is like. It's just amazing. So yeah, I've always subscribed to the fact that fiction is important, but the fact is, you get into medicine and it's so technical, it's so left brain that your right brain can atrophy. I find that for me, to answer the second part of your question, the practice of medicine, the art of looking at patients and trying to gather from their story, make something special out of it, or gather facts from their body, reading the body. These are all the same skills I bring to writing. You're sort of using the same lens, at least I am. So it's not two different hats. I'm using the same lens as I approach a story and the characters. And I think that, the skills of medicine don't hurt you when you're writing. But conversely, I think the writing often helps me process the medical stuff that I'm seeing, especially nonfiction. So I've always had the sense that if I'm assigned a piece of nonfiction to write about, I can go walk by the river and flesh it out in my mind, but there's something utterly mysterious when you sit down to write, as you know, comes out can be completely different than what you planned. And so I feel like I'm writing in order to understand what I'm thinking. So that's how writing and medicine sort of feed on each other.